And God said, "Let there be
The
light."
Lord says, "Let my people go."
I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
This is the Talkin' Bible podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. Talking Bible, talking Jesus, talking the beginning of Revelation today.
Yes.
Shannon?
Oh, Pastor Owen, this one, I'm like, why'd you give me this one for? Like, you talk a year on this.
Oh, yeah. This is a pretty
Whew.
astounding vision of the book of Revelation, isn't it? This
It is.
This is like the opening when Jesus,
Yeah.
before this, John's a bit of narrating, and then bang, he sees Jesus. I was on the island of Patmos, and then bang, I
Yeah.
saw this one before me. It was like, oh, this is huge.
I know. Oh, can we talk about Patmos for a second?
Talk about Patmos. Have you been to Patmos?
I haven't been to
No, you
Patmos
haven't been
yet.
to Patmos.
I was near Patmos.
You were very close to Patmos
Yeah.
when you were at Ephesus. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, we just didn't have enough time.
No,
Oh.
I haven't got time. When I go over in a couple of months, I haven't got time to go to Patmos. But I'm going to go to all 7 churches. So
This
what's
is
left of them?
Patmos is where the vision happened,
Yes.
not where it was written.
Uh,
Have a look.
Yeah.
Have a look.
yeah. Tell me.
So it was, if you,
John was on the island of Patmos.
he was on the island of Patmos when the vision happened.
Yeah. Okay.
John,
was on the island of
was
Patmos.
on the island of Patmos.
It was the like word. Okay, so there could be an implication that he might have been off the island by the time he wrote it. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's not unreasonable. I've often thought about the fact that he's on the island. If he had it, and he's on
He
there
was
because he's exiled.
Yes.
Unless other people are able to come over and get the letter, then he isn't necessarily able to distribute the letter to the 7 churches if he can't have any contact. I always thought maybe there were people coming across from the mainland.
Because I think he was there, had the vision, and then he's got off the island.
Got off the island. Yep, that's
and then he's
that's feasible.
and
Yep.
he's written it down.
So a bit of context for people just to help us there. So John, whether this is John the Apostle or a different John, that's open to conjecture. I'm leaning more towards a different John now. Sorry to burst everybody's bubble. But nonetheless, this John, whoever he was, has, and I actually tend to believe that John the Apostle, John, the John who wrote the book of John, is actually not John the Apostle either. But anyway,
It's very contentious.
it's very
isn't it?
contentious. Anyway, this John, for whatever reason, had been exiled for preaching the gospel.
The John down in Ephesus.
He's a John from Ephesus. We know that. We know he was in Ephesus and he was writing to these 7 churches. And so he's in exile and he has this vision. And that's the Revelation. It's not the book of Revelations. It's Revelation. One
Revelation. One revelation.
He says this is the revelation of Jesus Christ that God gave to him, that gave to the angel, that gave to John. Yep. It was for the people. One revelation, one story. And this is the beginning of that revelation. And the word revelation means apocalypse, which just means an unveiling. So this is the whole book. And he's starting here is like John is on this island and suddenly the heavens curtain are pulled back and he sees the world from a different perspective, from an apocalyptic perspective, which doesn't mean, the end of the world. It doesn't
That's
mean
right.
that. It means an unveiling, like a thin, well, to use the words of, what's the Netflix television show? The Thin Space, I don't know, I can't think of the name, with all the kids. And
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. There's thin spaces. There's spaces where the spiritual and the natural interact. That's what this is. This is this vision. He sees Jesus in a different way.
Yep. Thin spaces. I work in a thin space. I don't look thin, but I work in a thin space where God's moving all the time.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
Yep.
Thin spaces are wonderful places to be.
Yep.
But John is experiencing this thin place.
Yes.
And then he writes it down for us. And I love as we go through what John is describes to us, he uses the Old Testament.
He does.
And culture
Richly.
for his readers to unpack. And so for his readers at the time, they knew the Old Testament backwards.
Yes.
And they were in the culture and they knew exactly what John was talking about and who he was talking about and everything. Now, sometimes we don't understand the culture and the context. And as I keep saying, context is king.
Yep.
And once we get the understanding of the context, our world just opens up to the understanding of what's going on.
And perhaps no more so than with the book of Revelation.
Definitely with the book of Revelation. And once we get the context, it does open up It's so richly. Oh, it's amazing.
Well, let's have a dig into it. Let's see what you can draw out of this vision.
Oh, okay. So let's look at some lampstands.
Okay.
Let's have a look at that. Where's that? Let's read in
About verse 13 or something, is it?
Yeah, I, John, your brother and companion in the suffering of the kingdom and patience, endurance that are ours in Jesus. I love that part because he's like, I'm just like everyone else.
Yep, it's just like you've all got it hard.
Yes.
We've all got it hard, folks.
Like
This isn't an easy. This is requiring patient endurance.
and isn't that refreshing?
Oh yes.
Like we sometimes hold the heroes of the Bible. We call them the heroes of the Bible. They must have had it so easy.
If only.
I think they, when we get to heaven and we're having the conversations, they're going to be hitting us going, you guys have got it so easy.
Oh, for sure. I mean, relative to what these guys were going through, yes.
And we're like, oh, you guys must have had it so easy.
Yep.
And they're looking at us going, are you kidding me?
These guys were facing some pretty challenging persecutions from
Yeah.
the Romans and from the Jews,
Everyone.
especially at this time. Yeah.
Everywhere they turned.
Yep.
That's
right.
They had it hard. The persecution was everywhere. So moving on, let's get to the good stuff. On the Lord's day, I was in the Spirit, and I heard behind me a loud voice like a trumpet that said, "Write on a scroll what you see and send it to the 7 churches, to Ephesus,
Smyrna,
So
Pergamum,
Smyrna,
Thyatira,
Pergamum, yep.
Sardis, Philadelphia. Oh, I've actually learned them now because I'm driving from one to the other in one day. Yep.
That's going to be a big day."
It'll be one afternoon and then a night and then one full next day. I'll do it in a day and a half.
Oh, it'd be fun.
Yep.
I turned around to see the voice that was speaking to me, and when I turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and amongst the lampstands was someone like a son of man, dressed in a robe, reaching down to his feet, and with a golden sash around his chest. Whew! Whoa!
Pretty amazing.
It is pretty amazing. Now, where does he get that from?
Tell me more.
Well, this is out of the book of Daniel.
This is a Daniel vision.
This is a Daniel vision.
Is this a Daniel 7 vision?
Daniel 7.
Daniel 7,
Yes,
okay.
Daniel 7:13. In my vision at night I looked, and before me was one like a son of man. Coming with the clouds of heaven, he approached the Ancient of Days, and he led into his presence. Then there's also Daniel 10:5-7. I looked up, and before me was a man dressed in linen, with a belt of fine gold
There it is.
and upper huz around his waist. His body was like topaz, and his face lightning. Now, we probably should keep reading for the
Yep.
next part.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll go back up to the lampstands. And he was dressed, reaching down to his feet. We've done that part, the chairs around his chest. His hair on his head was like white, like wool, as white as snow. And his eyes were like blazing fire. His feet were like bronze glowing in a furnace, and his voice was like the sounds of rushing water. So if we keep reading Daniel 5-6, it says, his face was like lightning, his eyes were like flaming torches, his arms and legs were like gleaming of brownish bronze, and his voice was like the sound of a multitude. And so this is sort of pulling out all these things out of Daniel. In Ezekiel 43, it says, then the man brought to me to the gate facing east. I saw the glory of God of Israel coming from the east. His voice was like the roar of rushing water, and the land was radiant with his glory. So all these verses,
They're all riffing straight out of the book of Daniel
they're
and
just
Ezekiel.
coming out of the Old Testament. Like when we go, if this was John, the disciple, we're very well known for giving the disciples such a hard time.
Right. Yeah, gotcha.
Like we give the disciples. Oh, can you believe the disciples were so stupid they asked that question? Like how often do we say that? Yeah. These disciples, they knew their Old Testament so well.
Oh yeah, they grew up with it.
Well, they grew up with it. They knew it backwards. I mean,
and they knew that Daniel 7 was a messianic figure. They knew that was the Messiah figure. That's how it had become, certainly with the time of the first century when Jesus is around, that's how they interpreted that passage, that, this is the Messiah figure. This is the human who will ascend to heaven and reign alongside God in heaven. That's what they knew.
And it was also apocalyptic.
Yes, it was.
Daniel's
also apocalyptic unveiling literature. So is, like you say, some parts of Zechariah is the same. There are pockets of it throughout the Old Testament as well.
That's right. So where John was, is pulling all of this together using the Old Testament, and so this is nothing new to the reader.
They read this, and this isn't just this is awe-inspiring. They are loading up in their mind. This is the one of Daniel 7. This is the one of Daniel 10.
Yes.
This is not just, that's a great vision. Oh, it sounds really cool. This is actually making a statement about who Jesus is.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is the completion.
Yes, that's right.
This is the fulfillment.
Because the Jesus they'd seen on earth, other than the transfiguration, they saw this Son of Man. Jesus called himself the Son of Man. So he referred to himself as Daniel 7. But all they saw was, like Isaiah 53 says, there was nothing about him that beheld that impressed us. But cloaked in this human skin was this glorious flaming eyes of fire and hair and gold and burnished bronze, and all this glory had been concealed inside.
Was hidden.
Hidden, that's right. And this is like the consummation. Hey, I'm complete now. I've done this, and this is the message I had. This is the one who's speaking to you.
Yeah, which is so amazing.
Yeah.
It goes on to talk about at his right hand there are 7 stars, and coming out of his mouth was a sharp, double-edged sword. His face was like the sun, shining in all its brilliance. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet.
I'm not surprised.
And as though dead. Then he placed his right hand on me and said, "Do not be afraid." How many times have we heard that in the Bible? Do not be afraid.
You know what? I don't think I've ever thought about this before, because I'm always thinking through the lens of Daniel and Ezekiel here. But this is not that dissimilar to Isaiah's vision in Isaiah 6.
Well,
you got that in your notes, have you?
Isaiah 49.
Okay.
But yes, keep going.
Well, Isaiah 6 is that vision in the year that King Uzziah died. I saw the Lord upon the throne, and his glory and his shining radiance. And Isaiah falls down and goes, "Woe is me." It's a little bit like what John's doing here.
It is, isn't it? Well, I wonder if that's part of the inspiration.
I think that is part of the inspiration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isaiah 49 too, it says, he made my mouth like a sharpened sword.
Oh, that's where that bit comes from.
In the shadow of his hand, he hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in his quiver.
Okay.
Like all these
mixed
pictures,
metaphors there from the Old Testament.
All from the Old Testament.
And we've talked about this before. I mean, you're a Beamer podcast guy, so the whole concept of what a remez is really important here.
Huge.
That when you see these links, they're not just a link to the Old Testament verse. They're like a hyperlink. That when it says burnished bronze, you go, where's that in the Old Testament? And then you click on the burnished bronze, you find it in the Old Testament, and you're actually supposed to look at the whole chapter, because the context of the whole chapter will actually add
value to it.
It's actually sometimes you go, what's the link mean? It doesn't actually do anything. The link's not supposed to do anything in itself other than link you back to the context, the wider context.
Yes, and so then there's even a deeper part of that.
Yes.
And so there can even be 3 layers
Multiple
of that,
layers.
which is huge.
Yes, that's right.
I really love the "do not be afraid" in this.
Okay.
That just stands out to me as, because we hear it constantly every time there's an angel.
Every time there's an angel show up, don't be afraid.
And I just love that again, even though, it's right at the beginning where John he's just been pulled into this vision.
Yes. Yeah.
And Jesus is saying, it's all right.
It's okay. It's going to be all right.
Don't be afraid.
Yep.
I know what I'm going to show you.
Yeah, that's right. I know it's going to be scary, but don't be afraid.
You're going to see some stuff, but don't be afraid.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to put it. Because if you look at that context of some of the stuff he does see, dragons and beasts and ugly things and and war and famine and plague and all those sorts of things. No wonder he has to say, "Don't be afraid," because what's coming is going to be quite confronting for you.
And I even wonder, in that little statement there, was it even worse? And he's used some of Daniel in that to even soften what he's seen.
Could be right. Yeah, it's certainly awe-inspiring.
That's I see those 4 little words there, and I go, I wonder if it was
more.
Even worse.
Yeah, more confronting. Well,
more confronting.
And if you think back to Isaiah's vision, woe is me. You know, I'm a man of unclean lips. He was so confronted with the absolute holiness of God. He was so vividly aware of his unholiness.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what's confronting for us.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we as Christians, we don't grasp the holiness of God, and we live with this complacency. But if we really grasp in awe the greatness and holiness of our God, the natural response to that would be fear. But that's coupled then by Jesus saying you don't need to be afraid. But we don't get the awe of God.
The reverence.
Yes.
And sometimes we forget that we do need to have that reverence of the Lord.
Yeah.
And we should not be flippant in that.
No, definitely.
And there needs to be and I don't like using the word respect because it's not deep enough in this. But we need to have that reverence of and fear, the fear of the Lord.
Yes. Yeah, that absolute wow factor.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And
he has that.
Because when God moves in our lives, the evidence of God moving in our lives, we're left with awe. When we're left in awe, true awe is the experience of, we know God's moved because we experience awe. Because that's the experience that we're left with.
Yeah.
We have no words.
No.
And the feeling is overwhelming. And it's this awe moment.
Totally. That's why we use the word wow.
Yeah.
That's all we can say.
It's like,
And you can say it backwards and it still says wow.
Yeah.
Because you've got nothing else you can do.
Nothing else to say.
That's just open mouth. Wow. That's amazing.
And when you've had a God moment and you're left in awe, that's the fruit. The fruit is awe.
Totally. I was talking to someone about this recently. I think there's probably been 3 moments in my life. I don't know what the context was in the last couple of weeks. I reckon there's been 3 moments in my life where I have sensed this wow awe factor to that degree where I went, I love this, but I literally can't stay in this anymore. It's going to kill me. Like the awe of God, the weight of God's presence was so strong that I was so vividly aware that I don't think I can sustain this anymore. It's just like this overwhelming sense of the glory of God.
Yep. And I can even picture this moment for John is like this moment.
Yeah.
As much as he's going to love being in the presence,
it's overwhelming.
It is overwhelming.
Yeah, that's right.
And, we have mountaintop moments in life. We're not designed to live on the mountaintop.
That's the thin space, but we're supposed to take that and as Jesus does here, take that message, take it back to the churches and make it practical in our lives.
Yes, we take it back down into the valley.
Yep, that's right.
There's life in the valley.
Yep,
that's where life is.
That's where the mountaintop experience is supposed to empower us for the valley, for the day-to-day life.
Yeah, but when you go and live, nothing lives on the mountaintop. The mountaintop is sparse.
That's right. The old thing of you got your head in the clouds and you know of no earthly good. That's not how we're supposed to live our lives. We're supposed to be functional and practical.
Yep.
Even the Great Transfiguration, Peter, James, and John see it. Then they walk off the mountain and straight back. They're confronted at the bottom of the mountain by a demon-possessed boy. They're confronted by the reality of life. Life is hard down off the mountain, but the glory of God is to sustain us and empower us for life in the valley.
Life in the valley.
Yeah,
that's
and that's
right.
what's happening here too. He's not supposed to stay on the Patmos. He's supposed to get this vision and then help them, encourage these persecuted saints that, hey, your life is hard right now. The patient endurance that Jesus calls us to, you read it, that's what this book's about, keeping people, sustaining them, letting them know it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's all going to come out in the end and God will win.
Yes, that's right. What's interesting around the stars.
Tell us about the stars.
The stars.
Yeah,
so this is a bit of the Greek mythology coming out. John using that as a very Roman way to say that Jesus controls the entire universe. That if he's got the stars in his hand, 7 stars, for the Jews, 7 is completion or whole, and for Rome, stars, they seen the stars were in the ocean. For the stars were basically floating in the sky. It was an ocean.
Yes, in the ocean. Yes, that's
and
right.
the 7 stars, there were 7 stars that didn't move, and were the planets.
Ah, right.
Okay. So they were planets. So if you said you had the 7 stars,
then you're upholding
because they were their
the
gods.
stable. Yep.
They had assigned gods to them, and you were controlling.
You're controlling the gods.
The gods.
pantheon.
And so you were controlled. You said you had even the gods in your hand.
Right. Absolute authority.
Absolute authority. He was above even
Because I'm going to go out on a limb and
all
say
of that.
I probably should research this before I go to Turkey, but I've got a feeling somewhere along the line I read, I don't think maybe I taught it when we did Revelation, but there is coin of the goddess Roma, who's Rome in a goddess form, holding holding 7 stars in her hand, is that to be the signal of the supremacy of Rome over all the pantheon, over all powers and authorities.
Having the control.
And I've got a feeling that this is Jesus saying, no, Rome doesn't have all the power, because there's multiple riff-offs against Rome.
Yes.
Where Rome is this, Rome is that, Rome is this, and Jesus is going, no, actually, I'm that thing. And I wonder if that's it. He's saying all power belongs to me, not to the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
And you're suffering persecution from the Roman Empire, but you need to know one thing. I'm the one who holds the 7 stars, not Rome.
I control it all.
That's right. Yeah.
And so it's a really beautiful way of just saying, you know what? Don't worry about what they think they control.
That's good.
I control the universe.
Yep. Which is when you're persecuted and suffering and in fear of these seemingly insurmountable powers that seem to be, stifling their life at every turn.
Yes.
This is why this letter is supposed to be encouragement to them.
Well, this was a letter to the persecuted church.
That's right. 7 churches.
Yep. And the persecution, we don't understand what persecution is in Australia. Yep. We just,
some of these churches were suffering it pretty bad.
We think back to COVID times, and we think, being told we're not allowed to sing, that was persecution. That is nothing. Compared to what
this is different.
the early church went through.
That's right.
And, this letter was so needed for the time.
Yep, definitely.
And that's such a beautiful picture of
so I control everything, and the lampstands is a symbol for the churches.
Well, it's for the churches.
Interprets that for us.
That's right.
That's the whole menorah thing. That's the reflection of God, the glory of God, the light of God.
That's correct. Yep. And even in I didn't put this one down, but in Daniel, there's the talk of the 7 trees. There's 7 trees that Daniel walks through.
Yep, Daniel 12, I think it is.
And so, there's a link there to that as well.
Okay.
And they would have known that this represents what those 7 trees were representing as in the church. So, it's a beautiful...
So this is a picture that we can go into and study and riff off multiple Old Testament passages to fill out the portrait of who this risen Jesus is and his absolute power and authority. Yeah. So when we are feeling persecuted, when we are feeling like life is hard, that's when this vision is encouragement to us.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's not saying, as you're going to see in the rest of the book, it's not saying that Jesus is going to fix everything right now. Because the story of Revelation is, in the end, he will wipe away every tear. In the end, the kingdoms of the Lord will become the kingdoms of our Lord and Christ, the kingdoms of this world. It's in the end, things will be put right. Persevere, patient endurance, because I hold that authority now.
Yes, it's the encouragement of who's in control.
Yes.
You are coming up against empires and authorities and the like, but I am in control.
Absolute control. And if you're not seeing that yet, that's because in God's infinite plan, he is working out his plan and he's using his people. And we just have to be patient and patiently endure, which is what it said at the beginning. Yeah. Good one. Did you see anything else you wanted to say in there?
No, I think that's it.
Worth just studying that one and meditating on it.
Yep.
Trying
And
to picture it in your mind's eye. Even ask ChatGPT to draw a picture of it for you. There is artwork out there you can actually have a look at. Revelation Illustrated it's probably 30 years old now, but it was a lady who drew lots of the visions of Revelation. You can just Google the website, see the vision her vision of the Son of Man.
Yeah, and I think, look at it and find the links back into the Old Testament because they're there. And then while you're in the Old Testament, find out what this part actually means.
Yes, that's right. What is it saying about Jesus?
What is it saying about Jesus?
Sure.
And what is it saying about, Revelation and the deepness, the links there? Because it's all there and we haven't got time enough.
No, we haven't got time enough.
We're
going to go on and talk tomorrow about the water and Jesus turning the water into wine.
Oh, we don't have enough time for that one either.
No, these are quite long passages this week.
One of my favourite ones.
All right, well, we'll get there. Thanks for being with us, everyone. Talk to you on the next episode.
Take it easy.